Johnny Depp, one of the most enigmatic and iconic actors of his generation, is once again making headlines. This time, it's not about courtroom drama, tabloid gossip, or controversies of the past. It's all about his long-awaited return to cinema. The latest buzz surrounds a new wave of photos that have surfaced from the set of his upcoming film, DayDrinker. These images have ignited a flurry of excitement across social media platforms, film forums, and entertainment blogs, showing a man not only stepping back into the spotlight but doing so with a look and presence that has people genuinely stunned. Captured in a series of candid and atmospheric on-set photos, Depp appears to be deeply immersed in the role. Dressed in dark, layered clothing, his look is raw, weathered, and intensely expressive, instantly suggesting that DayDrinker is not your run-of-the-mill project. His hair is slightly longer, tousled with a natural messiness that aligns perfectly with the gritty mood of the film. Facial hair appears unkempt, adding to the sense of a troubled, introspective character. His eyes, caught in certain moments by the photographer's lens, seem heavy with emotion, pain, or possibly inner turmoil. It's exactly the kind of aesthetic Depp has always excelled in: characters with layered psyches, fractured souls, and mysterious pasts. The photos depict Depp walking through a narrow, dimly lit alleyway, one that feels intentionally chosen for its haunting ambience. Graffiti on the walls, scattered trash on the ground, and broken lighting add to a sense of urban decay, perhaps symbolic of the internal decay the character may be experiencing. In one image, Depp stands with a cigarette in hand, back turned slightly from the camera, lost in thought as a thin curl of smoke rises around him. In another, he sits on a crumbling staircase outside what appears to be a derelict building, face shadowed but focused, as if mentally reciting a line or embodying his next scene. These visuals alone have prompted thousands of fan theories about the tone and plot of DayDrinker, a project that has been shrouded in mystery since its quiet announcement. What is known, however, is that DayDrinker is being helmed by the director best known for his visually evocative work in fairy tale reimaginings and atmospheric dramas, rumored to be the same director behind the darker rendition of Snow White. This partnership between Depp and the filmmaker already has cinephiles buzzing, but it's the weight of Depp's performance hinted at in these photos that's truly stoking the flames of anticipation. Social media has exploded with reactions, with fans praising Depp's evident commitment to the role. You can already feel the emotion pouring through the image, one fan posted on Twitter, sharing a zoomed-in version of Depp's profile mid-scene. He's not acting, he's becoming. Others noted the sense of urgency and maturity in his presence, suggesting that this film might be more personal than we yet know. Rumors are already circulating that Depp had a heavy hand in the development of the script and character, possibly drawing from some of his own recent life experiences: loss, betrayal, redemption, and the slow path back to self-belief. If DayDrinker is indeed a metaphor for addiction, emotional stagnation, or the trauma of one's past haunting the present, Depp may be the perfect vessel to explore those themes. After the storm that surrounded his name during the high-profile court battles and the divide it caused among the public, this new film could be interpreted as both an artistic statement and a personal catharsis. There's an authenticity to the way he's carrying himself in these photos, a visible vulnerability that suggests he is not simply acting, but purging something deeper. Depp has always been known for his transformative performances. From the flamboyant Captain Jack Sparrow to the emotionally tortured Edward Scissorhands, and even the more nuanced roles like in Finding Neverland and Donnie Brasco, he has demonstrated a knack for disappearing into a character. But this time feels different. There is no mask, no excessive makeup, no fantastical setting to shield him. DayDrinker appears raw and grounded, something that may mirror the rawness of Depp himself in this stage of his life. Film insiders have noted that the production has taken an intentionally stripped-down approach. No flashy effects, no high-budget polish, just human emotion laid bare. The cinematography, as glimpsed from these photos, leans heavily into natural lighting, shadows, and intimate framing. One photo shows Depp in a rain-soaked coat standing under a flickering neon sign, staring out at something we can't see. Another captures him at dawn, the sun barely rising, its golden hue outlining his silhouette as he sits in silence. These moments aren't posed, they feel lived in. According to a source close to the production, The story revolves around a man battling his inner demons in the wake of a personal tragedy. The character, whose name remains under wraps, is said to be a once successful musician turned recluse, living a life of solitude and numbing routine. A chance encounter sets him on a path toward confronting the memories he's buried and the choices he regrets. The narrative reportedly unfolds in fragments, much like memory, blurring the lines between reality and the past. It's a moody, psychological drama, a meditation on grief and recovery, and a story that doesn't promise a happy ending, but perhaps offers some form of peace. For Depp, this role may serve as the ultimate reflection of everything he's endured and overcome. After being essentially blacklisted by parts of Hollywood and battling public scrutiny for years, his career has slowly begun to rise again. His performance in Jean du Barry reminded critics of his undeniable talent, and now, with DayDrinker, he seems to be fully back, not just as a performer but as an artist reclaiming his voice. There's a certain poetic symmetry in the fact that Depp's comeback is not through a mega franchise or a loud, bombastic role, but rather through something intimate and soul-searching. The new photos convey a man who isn't trying to impress the audience with flair, but rather move them with quiet truth. And judging by the response so far, he's already succeeding. In one particularly viral photo, Depp is shown in a moment of what looks like confrontation. His eyes red, voice raised, hands gesturing sharply. Whether it's a scene from the film or a rehearsal is unclear, but the intensity is undeniable. His co-star, reportedly a rising actress from the independent film circuit, stands opposite him with a haunted look, creating a tableau that feels like pure cinema. The photo alone has sparked countless captions. Oscar-worthy before it's even out, read one. Depp is back and bringing fire, read another. Behind the scenes, the production crew has been tight-lipped, but sources suggest that Depp has been deeply involved, not only in character development, but in shaping the tone of the film. Known for his collaborations with directors and his eye for detail, it's no surprise that he may be helping to mold DayDrinker into something truly unique. There are whispers that the film might premiere at a major European film festival before releasing to a wider audience, an indication of the confidence the team has in its artistic merit. What's also striking is how the photos seem to suggest themes of loneliness, regret, and the quiet agony of time slipping by. There are no crowds, no bustling cityscapes, just empty streets, dim interiors, and quiet corners. It's a stark contrast to Depp's former larger-than-life roles, but perhaps this is exactly where he belongs now. In a story that whispers rather than shouts. In a role that aches instead of entertains. Fans and critics alike are already marking DayDrinker as a potential turning point, not just in Depp's career, but in how Hollywood perceives him moving forward. There is always risk in returning after so public a fall, but if these photos are any indication, Depp isn't interested in playing it safe. He's diving headfirst into vulnerability, emotion, and character complexity. And the world is paying attention. The cinematic world is often quick to move on, to replace yesterday's icon with tomorrow's breakout star. But every now and then, someone who was counted out finds a way back in, not with noise or nostalgia, but with artistry. These new photos from the set of DayDrinker don't just preview a film, they tell a story of quiet resurrection. They show a man, once defined by spectacle, now returning to substance. As anticipation grows and more details slowly emerge, all eyes remain on Johnny Depp, not as the tabloid fixture, not as the courtroom protagonist, but as the artist, the actor, the storyteller. And with DayDrinker, he might just be preparing to tell one of the most powerful stories of his life. For decades, Johnny Depp has been a magnet for complex characters and emotionally charged performances. Yet in recent years, the narrative surrounding him was hijacked by personal turmoil and legal battles that dominated headlines and social media feeds. The public watched as the beloved star of Pirates of the Caribbean, Edward Scissorhands, and Sweeney Todd was pulled into a storm of allegations, lawsuits, and career setbacks. But through it all, there was a sense that the artist inside Depp had never truly vanished. He had only been waiting for the right moment, the right role, the right story to rise from the ashes. And now, with DayDrinker, that moment may have finally arrived. The film appears to be more than a simple acting gig for Depp. It is a work that seems to mirror his emotional and professional journey over the last decade. There's something deeply symbolic about the very name of the film. DayDrinker evokes images of solitude, desperation, and a man caught in the quiet agony of reflection. It suggests a life that has shifted away from hope and ambition and become tethered to pain and memory. If Depp is indeed channeling personal experience into the character, as many fans and critics suspect, then this performance may be one of his most honest yet. What separates Depp from many of his contemporaries is the depth of empathy and melancholy he brings to his roles. Even his most eccentric characters, from Jack Sparrow to Raoul Duke, have always carried a trace of sadness, a sense that they're running from something, haunted by their own pasts. In DayDrinker, that emotional undercurrent may take center stage, stripped of costume, comedy, or fantasy. The raw, stripped-down aesthetic hinted at in the set photos suggests a film built not on spectacle but on silence, stillness, and subtlety. It is, in many ways, the antithesis of the summer blockbuster, and that's exactly what makes it so compelling. For Johnny Depp, DayDrinker isn't just a role, it's a reckoning. The world has seen his public pain. It has watched him defend himself on witness stands and through court documents. Now it has the opportunity to witness his creative healing process. Every wrinkle in his brow, every slow drag of a cigarette, every moment he stares off into the distance on set speaks volumes. These aren't just stills from a movie in production. They are portraits of a man who is rebuilding piece by piece through the language he knows best: performance. It's no surprise that Depp is choosing to return with a project rooted in indie sensibilities. He's never been one to chase commercial success for its own sake. Even at the height of his fame, he leaned toward roles that challenged him and defied expectations. Films like Dead Man, The Libertine, and Blow were not box office smashes, but became cult classics thanks to the depth and vulnerability he brought to each performance. DayDrinker seems to follow that tradition. It doesn't scream for attention. It whispers, and in doing so, demands a deeper kind of listening. There's also something incredibly human about what Depp appears to be exploring in this role. Addiction, regret, isolation, the ache of lost time. These are themes that resonate universally. But when embodied by someone who has experienced such a dramatic fall from grace, they hit even harder. This isn't just a story of a fictional man on screen. It's a mirror held up to a real man's soul. And for audiences who followed Depp not just as fans, but as witnesses to his struggles, this film becomes more than entertainment. It becomes a shared emotional experience. There is a quiet bravery in choosing such a vulnerable path back into the spotlight. In an industry that often values reinvention over authenticity, Depp seems uninterested in reinventing himself. Instead, he is revealing himself. Not the quirky, enigmatic persona that once dominated red carpets, but the human being behind it. The one who has been bruised, who has fallen, but who still finds purpose in the act of storytelling. As more details surface about DayDrinker, what becomes increasingly clear is that this film isn't just another title on Johnny Depp's resume. It is a statement. A deeply personal narrative that transcends the screen and speaks directly to anyone who has ever felt broken, forgotten, or misunderstood. It is perhaps the closest thing we've seen to a cinematic autobiography, albeit wrapped in fiction. And it promises to be a haunting, unforgettable journey not just for Depp, but for every viewer willing to take that journey with him. With DayDrinker, Johnny Depp isn't asking for sympathy. He isn't pleading for redemption. He's simply doing what he's always done, using art to say what can't be said any other way. And in doing so, he reminds us all that sometimes the most powerful comebacks are not marked by triumph, but by truth.